Hello friends, and welcome to cards number 11 for my Christmas series. These 3 cards were an absolute joy to create. I loved picking out some non-traditional Christmas colors. I really hope you enjoy these cards. I had a lot of fun creating them, so let's get into it. Going to be using the Snowflake Edges stamp set from Simon Says. This is a gorgeous snowflake set. I was super excited to get my hands on this. And I'm going to be using some non-traditional colored cardstock panels. I think one's soft navy, the other one is Audrey blue, and the purple one, I'm not 100% sure which color that one is, but I'll make sure I have something similar linked below. I'm going to start out with heat embossing all of my snowflakes. So I kind of simplified this process. I made it probably a little bit harder on myself, but I wasn't 100% sure exactly how I wanted the snowflakes to be. But you could easily, just heat emboss, stamp, and be done. And you could create a ton of these cards, and it would be, a quick process. But I wanted to kind of zhuzh them up a little bit. And what I'm doing here is I'm just lining up my panel inside of my MISTI here. I do recommend using the MISTI if you're going to be doing a lot of kind of like mass production stamping and you want everything to be the same. You could do it with a, acrylic blocks or whatever, but I think the MISTI is the better way to go. And I turned my MISTI sideways to kind of line up this really long edge stamp. I really think this is beautiful. There's so many in here that you could, obviously pick whatever you wanted. But I wanted to kind of make it look like they were cascading down. And then I ended up flipping the card panels around and stamping the exact same thing on the other side. Again, just to simplify the process, I wanted to try and see if I could create all these cards under an hour, and I did it. And I was really excited that I got them done under an hour because it kind of shows that if you have an idea in your head and you stick with it and you just add some simple things to kind of, make them look a little bit, I don't want to say prettier or anything like that, because anything that you create and you're happy with is going to be gorgeous to you and to anybody that you send it to. I always like to kind of like zhuzh my cards up a little bit. I know I said that already, but just to kind of give them a little bit more interest. So I'm just going to be using some Simon clear ink to stamp down all of my snowflakes here, because I'm going to do some heat embossing. So on this dark blue panel, I'm going to use some Brutus Monroe sterling silver embossing powder. I really like this embossing powder. It's a really nice color, and I especially like it on blues. I don't know why I like them on blues, but my husband helped me pick out some card stocks because I told him my idea, and I told him, I always do, red and green, and I wanted to try something a little bit different, and he suggested these colors, and he was spot on. These turned out so great. He's not really a gold and red kind of guy. He told me that. He's like, I don't like gold and red together. I don't know if it's because he's colorblind. He's colorblind in red and green, so that's kind of like awful for him at Christmas time. But he said that he really likes this one with the blue and the silver. He said it looked really pretty. So he had some good suggestions, and I think these turned out great. He could be a card maker too. So I'm just going to go through and kind of speed this process up because I don't change the stamps at all. I leave them where they're at. I'm just swapping out the cardstock here. When I chose this Audrey blue and the colors that I'm going to ink blend later on, I was a little worried that I chose too light of a color of cardstock here. I wanted something kind of teal, but all the teals I had were really too teal for my taste. I like teal cardstock, and I like adding teal in some of my holiday cards and things, but for this idea I didn't really like it too much, so I went with this lighter blue, and I'm glad that I did. And you'll see a little bit later why. But again, I'm just using that same sterling silver embossing powder, and it was really great because once your heat gun has gotten going, it makes this whole process so much easier. Stamping and heat embossing all of these panels only took me, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes. Which isn't really that bad. It probably wouldn't have taken me as long if I would have done all the panels at the same time, done each side, but I wasn't 100% sure I wanted to do like I mentioned earlier. Here on this purple panel, I wanted to use Simon's Antique Gold. instead of the silver, because I felt like the gold would look really, really pretty with this purple. And this purple card was my favorite. I haven't shown it to my kids yet. I have one of my boys loves the color purple, and I think he would really like this card. I don't know what it is, but I've been adding purple a lot more lately in my cards, and I'm not sure what it is, but I just love the purple. I think I've become a purple lover. So here you can see I'm deciding that I want to do the same exact thing on the other side with leaving a small kind of gap in between to add a greeting. Now again, you could easily have done all of these panels at once, but like I said, I wasn't 100% sure. So I just sped through that process, same exact thing as I did before, nothing new. And I'm going to be using some of the same greetings from this same stamp set. Again, this is one of my favorite things to do, is just kind of minimizing your supplies and sticking with one stamp set and using it, to make your entire cards. And this stamp set has got some beautiful greetings in it, and they're really fine and detailed. And I wanted to make sure I got them lined up here. This is a transparency grid that you can get from Simon. I think it's like $5. It's one of my favorite things that I have. Really helps you line up stamps to make sure they're nice and straight. And I'm going to be using Brutus Monroe Alabaster White embossing powder for all of the sentiments. I wanted them to stand out a little bit more than have all of the silver and all of the gold. And then I'm going to be having a white border around, so I felt like I kind of pulled it all together. And I'm really glad that I went with the white instead of matching all of the embossing powder. I really think it makes the sentiments pop. And I just chose 3 different greetings from that stamp set. They're all different, but I still think it makes a really great impact. I think they look really beautiful. So I'm going to speed through this process as well. Nothing super crazy. I just, again, used the same greetings, stamped them in the Alabaster White embossing, and it was all the same through. I know some people like to see every single bit of the process, but this video, because I recorded it straight through, I didn't stop it or anything like that, so there was a lot of kind of cut up stuff. So again, just using that transparency grid, lining up my greetings, and stamping it down, same clear embossing ink, same Alabaster White embossing powder. I guess I don't speed through this process here. I thought I did, because there was a lot going on. Like I said, these cards weren't difficult to create. You could easily kind of stop at different points throughout these cards and just finish them. Like after these greetings were on here, you could just stop here, stick it on a card base, and you're good to go. But I really like the idea of adding different things to kind of dress them up. Like I mentioned in my last video, I've had some design team offers. Like I mentioned also, I'm not going to kind of release any information until I have all the information that I need. I just applied to be a part of another design team, a company I just recently found, and I think their products are really cute. So I'm waiting for some of their things to come in so I can play with them as well. So we'll see if I get on that team. I've been really excited about the whole design team thing. It has been a dream of mine to be a part of some design teams. When I first started card making, it wasn't really kind of a thing I had in my mind. But just being a part of a community and a group and a company that I really admire is, like I said, has become kind of a dream of mine. I don't imagine that it will become a full-time job, just because I've got, 4 kids to take care of and all those sorts of things. So having it as a hobby is really great. It kind of is a nice way to relax a little bit. Next, what I wanted to do is I wanted to add some ink blending on these panels. This is another one of my favorite ways to add some interest to colored cardstock. You could easily have done these on white cardstock and ink blended the entire panels, but I like starting out with a nice color and just adding to it. So I'm taking some chipped sapphire here on this navy cardstock, and I'm just going around the edges, and it's really subtle. it doesn't really translate too well here on video, but in real life you can really see a difference, and it really, like I said, gives it a little bit more drama. And then I'm going in with some black soot just right along the edge, again, to intensify that, make a nice vignette all the way around. And again, I really love the way that this turns out. Really elegant. I could see myself making more of these cards. On the light blue panel, I'm using Mermaid Lagoon and black soot. I know it seems kind of weird going to use black soot on this really light colored cardstock, but it really, really turns out great. I went in with a really light hand with the Mermaid Lagoon and just ink blended all the way around, so it was nice and soft transition into the center, and I think it looks absolutely fantastic. This card turned out so pretty. I could see you easily changing out the greeting in the middle and maybe doing a die cut greeting through the center for, you know, like happy winter, stay cozy, you know, maybe even a birthday card, which I think would be really pretty to do as a birthday card. Maybe I'll do that coming up. I don't know. I love the way that this turned out. I think it's so fantastic. And including that black soot in there really made it stand out. And then on the purple panel, I was going to use seedless preserves, but I changed my mind, and I'm going to be using shaded lilac and the black soot. Now again, seems kind of weird going to do black soot on this really light panel, but it totally works out, and this card was my favorite, or still is my favorite. I think this one has been my favorite card of the entire series. I know that sounds kind of crazy because I've said that about some other cards as well, but when I was creating these, I was just so thrilled at how perfectly these came together. I was talking to my husband about it while I was doing these, and I was just telling him that these were turning out exactly how I imagined them, and these colors that he chose were just working out so great, and that they're just really great. I can't wait to give these cards away. I almost don't want to give them away. I want to kind of keep them for myself, put them in frames and display them through my house. But I would love to see somebody get this card and have the same feeling that I do whenever I create these. You know, that's kind of where I get most of my joy from is, you know, creating these cards. And I have such a feeling when I create them. I don't know if anybody else gets that, but they just make me feel so great. I love creating and I love seeing people's reactions. All I'm doing here is I'm taking a dry paper towel and buffing away any of that excess distress ink that got on top of the embossing, because the distress inks will just sit on top of the embossing, and it just kind of buff it away. It really brightens up the embossing again, and those snowflakes really, really pop. And I just think they're so pretty. I was so excited, and that I wasn't having any issues, which is very rare. I usually have something go wrong, and I didn't with these. They just kept coming together. Everything was clicking, and I want to apologize for my janky fingernails. I haven't had any time to address my fingernails. I've had so many things going on, you know, with the kids being sick and computer issues. My nails looked so fantastic during the beginning of my Christmas series, and now they look like a hot mess. Like, they are totally going with my season right now, to where everything starts out, you have all these grand ideas, and then you just kind of go with the flow of it. So I do apologize if my nails look absolutely horrible. You know, that's life. You know, you're a mom, you got things going on, you don't really think about your nails and your self-care, and it just kind of gets away from you. I am doing one of my favorite techniques here, taking my favorite Simon Says Fog dye ink, and I'm going to stamp the same border on the inside of my card bases just to add a little bit of interest, bring back those snowflakes, and again, this is my favorite thing to do. I did it for all 3 panels, so I'm not going to show you the process of all 3 of those panels getting stamped because it's exactly the same. And then I'm going to take the largest A2 Stitch STAX dies from MFT, and I am going to die cut all of these out. I love the little stitching detail it adds to these, and it creates a nice border so that when I place it on my card panels, I'll have that nice white border popping out, and it'll pull in that greeting that I stamped earlier. Give it a nice matte, and I think it looks really pretty. Just reinforcing those folds with my Teflon bone folder. And I just love the white border around all of these. So pretty. And I'm going to adhere these flat to my card bases. You could easily pop them up with some 3M foam tape if you choose, or some, I've seen some people use like craft foam instead of 3M foam tape, but I wanted to keep them all pretty flat. I'm going to add a little bit of dimension and a little bit, and I'm just using some barely art adhesive to attach all those down. Nothing super crazy, same process for all 3 cards, just adhering them down. The final things that I wanted to do to kind of zhuzh these cards up a little bit is I took this Stardust glitter pen. This is just like a Sakura Jelly Roll pen, but it is like intensified with shimmer. Like it has got glitter all through it. And I wanted to just color in the circular portions of all these snowflakes. Again, just to add a little bit of sparkle to these. You could easily use like a shimmery glossy accents, or I can't think, a Stardust glitter pen, or I'm trying to think of stickles. That's it. You could use like a clear stickles in these spaces, but I don't have anything like that. So I chose to do the glitter pen, and then I'm going in with these clear crystal drops from Nouveau. I think they're actually called Morning Dew. You could easily use glossy accents, but I wanted to use these and just go right over top of that glitter pen, and it creates a really pretty shimmery kind of dome on the snowflakes, and I really think it makes them stand out. It took a little while to do all of this, but I think it was worth it in the end. This was probably the longest process, and I did it for all 3 cards, exact same locations, the exact same process. So I won't show you all of that because it's exactly the same, nothing too different going on there. And that's what I think makes these cards great, is that you can mass produce these. Again, you could leave this step totally out and just stick with the ink blending and the embossing, and you've got beautiful cards. You could add sequins if you choose. I thought about adding some sequins as well, but I always have a hard time adding sequins. I always, can't figure out where to put them, and I always end up putting too many or not enough. But I think these were a nice addition. I really think it makes the cards pop, and I hope you enjoyed these cards as well. I had a lot of fun creating them, and I just want to say thank you to everyone who subscribes and likes all of my videos. It helps out my channel a ton. And if you really enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you would like to stick around and see what else we got going on here, hit the subscribe and the little notification bell so you don't miss out on any more videos here at my YouTube channel and during my Christmas series. I've got a lot more content coming your way. I can't wait to share it with you, and I'll catch up with you guys in the next one. Bye! On screen, I've got a few videos that I think you'll enjoy. Consider hitting the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any more videos at my YouTube channel.